All right, welcome. Today we're going to jump into something we literally all do every single day, and that's communicating. We're going to explore this really powerful and honestly often overlooked connection between how we listen and how we speak, and you'll see how getting a handle on that it can change pretty much everything.
Oh, man, haven't we all been there? You say something, and the second the words are out of your mouth, you're just like, nope, take it back. You just wish you had an undo button for real life. It's such a universal feeling, right? And it really gets to the heart of a big challenge. How do we actually use our words wisely? Okay, let's get into it.
So the source material we're looking at today is really built around two main ideas. And, on their own, they're pretty insightful. But when you put them together, that's when they create this amazing framework for better communication. So let's check them out one by one, and then we'll see how they fit together.
Okay, so first up, we've got this principle of being a good listener. Just imagine a character, let's call her Mia. Instead of just jumping at every conversation, she hangs back, she listens quietly, she observes what's going on, and she kind of gathers the facts. The big idea here is that real wisdom doesn't actually start with speaking. It starts with just paying attention. Now, for the second piece of the puzzle, the power of your tone. I mean, think about it. You could have the most amazing, truthful, brilliant thing to say, but if you deliver it in a harsh or angry way, is anyone even going to hear it? Probably not. This idea suggests that a gentle tone can actually bring about peace, and that how you say something is every bit as important as what you're saying. And this is where it gets really interesting, seeing how these two ideas work together. On one hand, you've got the listener, where wisdom is all about the intake, observing first, acting second. And on the other hand, you have the speaker, where wisdom is all about the output, shaping what you say with kindness. They're really just two sides of the very same coin, wise communication.
So this brings up a huge question, right? How do we actually bridge that gap between listening and speaking? How do you take that quiet understanding you've gained and turn it into words that actually make a positive difference? Let's try and build a clear definition.
And here's the key. According to our source, wise communication isn't just a single thing you do. It's a whole process. It kicks off with listening fully, and not just listening to argue, but listening to actually understand. Then you move into carefully discerning, which is just a fancy way of saying you figure out what really, truly needs to be said. And only then, at the end, do you speak, and you do it with kindness and with purpose.
And this lays out the path so perfectly. It's a simple three-step flow. Listen, discern, speak. Think of it like a sequence. You really can't jump to step 3 without going through 1 and 2 first. Each one builds on the last, and that's how you create communication that leads to harmony instead of, more conflict.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually use it? Let's talk about how this all builds into an action plan that you can put to work in your own life, maybe even starting today.
But before we get to the plan, just take a second and think about this question. Seriously, I bet every single one of us can think of a specific time our tone made a situation way better or, let's be honest, way, way worse. Remembering that feeling, that's the perfect jumping off point for putting these ideas into practice.
So here's a practical framework right from the source material. The whole idea is just to be more intentional. Who do you want to listen more closely to this week? Maybe it's your parents, so you can really understand their point of view. Or maybe it's your friends, so you can respond with a little more empathy. The source also mentions listening to what's true in your own heart for more clarity, or even listening to a higher source, like through prayer or scripture, to make sure your words line up with your values. It's all about connecting your listening to a real purpose.
As we start to wrap up, our source material leaves us with one final, really powerful metaphor, and it perfectly captures why everything we've talked about is so important.
Just let that image sink in for a second. You have this massive ship, but this one tiny part, the rudder, is what determines its entire direction. The source uses this comparison, which is adapted from the book of James, to make a huge point. Our words, even though they seem so small, have the power to steer our entire lives and the lives of everyone around us. And this really brings it all home. This is the ultimate takeaway from the source material. It concludes that when we actually connect our listening to a source of wisdom, our words stop being so random or reactive. Instead, they become these amazing tools that could actually guide people, heal relationships, and just bring good into the world.
So, that leaves us with one last question to think about. If your words really are the rudder of your ship, and you're the one steering, Where are you going to guide yourself next? Thanks for tuning in.